We've only got 4 weeks to go to crown a champ, and there's so much left to be determined. It's Jarrett Liebert that punches the throttle and brings 20,000 horsepower climbing up in towards turn number 1. Immediately, Killian Delormeau goes on the offense. He challenges the champ, Conor Barry, as they plunge their way down the hill. 3 and almost 4 wide behind, but safely through. All 24 trucks descend into the second corner.
No carnage yet as they work their way through turn 2. There goes one truck flipping in the middle of the pack. They'll fall all the way down the order. I think that might have been Nicholas Dachelet. I think it was Dachelet as he falls all the way down to the bottom of the field. But with Jarrett Liebert leading the way now, Arjuna, look at Conor Barry behind. The Delormeaus are 3rd and 4th with Keaton Swain gaining 1 spot to 5th. Blewett falls to 6th off the start.
Green flag awards going the way of our pole position man. Jarrett Liebert able to convert, and the man out of Washington at the end of that first lap already with a half a second advantage from those behind. So important to get into the rhythm, important. Early on, left side of the screen, just note that that green highlight will denote that top 8 invert where Josh Edmondson currently in the best spot possible to be flipped around into pole position for race number 2. But ultimately, it's early stages in this 16-lap affair. Terry Miller and Parker Retzlaff got tangled up. They've dropped to the back of the field, but in front of Conor Parisi, who runs dead last. Here are the cars at the front. The champ has got Jarrett Liebert in front, Killian Delormeau behind. And you got to wonder for Killian, it's not necessarily in the championship conversation just yet, but he's shown his speed. What was it the last time we went racing at Bark River? 2 consecutive second-place finishes. We know just how quick he can be. Let's take a look at the replay for Nicholas Dachelet.
Saw Conor Parisi in the background going up and onto the Jersey barrier as well. That's what happened to Nicholas Dachelet going up and over. He made contact with another truck back there as well, but that's what sent Dachelet down the order. He's now running in P19. Conor Parisi down in P24 after a trip to the pit lane as well after he got up in the K-rail in turn 2.
Yeah, I feel like right now for Conor Barry, he realizes that the main thing that he could do by getting sucked into a fight is potentially cost himself positions, which, like you said, every position is worth 2 points. So with Barry being in 2nd, Swain being in 6th spot, that's 4 positions between the 2 of them, right? That's 8 points to his advantage on top of the 2-point lead that he's gotten out of qualifying. The margins in this championship are going to be so small if we talk through these live points.
With Liebert in the lead right now, that's going to help him in trying to catch up to Keaton Swain, with Swain being down in 6th. That's all well and good. But Conor Barry running in 2nd, he's not going to make up a whole lot on Conor Barry with him running right behind him. Barry doesn't need this win. He's already got the points lead. Does he not even go for the win? Does he just go for a good points day? Or is he going to try and get by Jarrett Liebert? And where can he get by Jarrett Liebert? As we take a look at those live points, and Keaton Swain falling to 3rd in the live points. Arjuna, Jarrett Liebert up to P2.
Yeah, the 2 Delormeaus almost came to blows there. One in the colors for Altus Esports, the other in the colors for the virtual drivers by TX3. It's down the hill though, where Barry's only got his eyes forward now. Don't think he's concerned about the Delormeaus behind who continue to squabble. Justin Kay's looking comfortable as well in that inverted pole position in that 8th spot. So many different things to focus on, but in the championship mix, can Liebert hold on to grab yet another victory to add to the slate?
On board with Barry into 4. He gets cattywampus. He'll hit the back bumper of Jarrett Liebert, almost going for that race lead, but Liebert with beautiful defense on the inside. He'll keep the race lead. White flags in the air, Arjuna, one more time around.
We've just got 0.9 miles left here in Sparta, Nevada. Who's going to be the most aggressive of them all? Can Conor Barry be the gladiator to find his way to the lead? It's down out of turn 2, where he's forced Liebert to be a little bit compromised. Is this going to be the opportunity for the champ to get on through?
To the inside for Barry. He's going to have to do the switchback in turn 3 if he wants to walk away a winner. He's not going to get there in time for the apex. The Delormeau brothers will stay 3rd and 4th, but down the back short away for the final time. Liebert's looking at another race win.
No changes in the top 6 since the start of this race, at least compared to where they qualified. Relatively calm, but I don't think Jarrett Liebert would say that was the story. It's his 9th career start in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series, and for Jarrett Liebert, a 3rd career victory here at the Wild West Motorsports Park. He holds off the pressure from the champ and comes out on top, now just 9 points back from the leaders. 3/10 at the front. You don't always need passes to make something special. You just need that close tension that Liebert and Barry managed to keep us captivated with. Killian Delhomme leads the Delhommes across the line. He'll be delighted with what becomes a 6th career podium for him, but Quintin Delhomme unfortunately misses out on what would have been a 4th career podium. Joel Blewett 5th in front of Keaton Swain, so at least grabs 2 more points compared to the points leader coming into the round. Josh Edmondson, Justin Kay will be at the front of our inverted top 8 come the second 16 laps of racing, while Trenton Browley and Keith Jeffrey just miss out on the invert. 11th goes the way of Jacob Raffos, just in front of Tyson Miller, Crystal King, and then Josh Fox, who slid behind the 2 factory SimSport machines come the end. Brandon Proudfoot lined up 15th come the checkered in front of Christopher Plumley, Nicholas Dashley, Tom Grady, Terry Miller, and then Nicholas Wellhouse, all in the top 20. We'll see the pace truck off and away. We've got just 3 weeks after this to crown a champion, and Justin Kay doesn't want to hang around, picks up the throttle and launches us once more into racing at Wild West Motorsports Park. Connor Barry trying to go aggressive in that too. He's already up to, sorry, that's Keaton Swain. I made that mistake once again. He's up to 2nd spot. He knows he can't hold back.
Keaton Swain needs these positions. Connor Barry's going to make Josh Edmondson make contact with him. Edmondson's on his side. He is going to get pushed back onto all 4 wheels. One more driver gets shoved into the outside retaining wall as Edmondson goes over again, back on the wheels again, but in 24th.
He cannot buy any luck, it would seem, Edmondson, after the success in the non-points round. Back to the championship form, it would seem. Look at the run, though, into that final corner. It's Justin Kay that took the early lead, and now 1 second clear of Keaton Swain. Joel Blewett, Killian Delhomme, and Quintin Delhomme with the rest of the top 5. And now Connor Barry, the one stuck in 6th position, trying to work on forward. Can be rather bumpy, can be rather treacherous. We saw plenty of the drivers from last year able to hold on. Currently, it's 1 point. That splits the 15 from the 22. So it's Nicholas Dashley on the in of the bubble. It's Trenton Browley on the outside looking in.
What do you think did it for Nicholas Dashley, losing 4 spots today? That was the flip in race number 1. Another flip here in race number 2. Not the best night for Nicholas Dashley, as he now is on the bubble for being eliminated out of the series, but we focus on Connor Barry right now. Arjuna in 5th. He has gained a spot on Quintin Delhomme. Jarrett Liebert has not gone up. 4 points now to the good for Connor Barry. If he can keep moving his way up through the fields, he'll just keep racking up those points, and Jarrett Liebert will be stuck in currently P7.
That was maybe a bit earlier than I anticipated. Coming towards the penultimate lap of the race, Connor Barry's not hanging around. To the inside of turn number 1, Keaton Swain covers him off, but then slides wide. A door opened. Barry in front as they plunge down the hill, but in towards turn number 2, it's Swain once again that switches back to the inside.
Not over in the battle for the race lead yet, as Connor Barry's going to get a shot from behind as well. Justin Kay wants to be a part of this lead battle as they now go work their way through turn 3, back over to the left. Barry's not going to get to the inside of Keaton Swain here. Down the back straightaway, Barry's going to have to make another send in 4, another send in turn 1. Issues behind for Justin Kay. He falls to 5th.
Jarrett Liebert drops to 7th as well. Could those be valuable championship points lost for the rookie? It's out of the final corner with 1 final lap here in Sparta. Who's going to be the bravest of them all? Because Keaton Swain's got half a second. Connor Barry's trying to close and get closer and closer to defending his crown, but it won't be into turn 1. Could it be into turn 2? This
needs to be master defense from Keaton Swain at this point. This has to be the defense of his life to try and hold on to these positions, to try and stop the bleeding of Connor Barry getting the points lead. Barry back to the inside in 2. They'll be side by side. Can he make the switchback work in 3? He's not going to get there. He's on the outside. Does Swain go up the track? No, he doesn't. Final time down the back straightaway.
I think Barry maybe compromised himself, was a little bit too loose and sideways, but he's going to try. He's going to force Keaton Swain to go defensive. 1 final corner, and with Barry with the smallest of overlaps, he will give the elbow to Keaton Swain. It's a drag race to the line. Who's got the best run out the corner? Connor Barry looks calm, cool, and collected, but it is by the slimmest of margins, by 1/4 of a 1/10 of a second, that Connor Barry comes out on top for the 3rd time in his iRacing Off-Road Championship Series career. One last dying move. 1/4 of a 1/10 of a second. Just think about that. A blink of an eye, if that, for Conor Barry to come out on top compared to Keaton Swain. I'm sure there's going to be lots going on in terms of review after that, in terms of how they could have each come out on top. And we can confirm it is the closest championship series finish. 5 thousandths closer than our race at Michigan last year. Quintin Del Lomo adds to the podium count for the Del Lomo clan. He's in front of Joe Blewett, while Killian Del Lomo recovers up to 5th. Conor Barry and Keaton Swain made more history. 24 thousandths split them at the line, the closest finish in series history. With just 3 rounds to go, both are pushing to the limit, and a champion is yet to be decided. Welcome to the 2023 iRacing Off-Road Championship live on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi folks, Arjuna Kankipati here, delighted once again to have your company. And what a finish we had a week ago. But now we head to the track that previously held the record. 29,000 split Josh Fox from Tommy Holman. And now, hopefully, we can have something of a similar finish. Conor Barry and Keaton Swain, yes, continue to be the championship favorites, but they are being pushed hard by rookies Joel Blewett and Jarrett Liebert. And it's going to be here where I think we will see the championship course for them be decided. 3 rounds to go, there's truly all to play for. With that said, let me welcome in Joshua Lee as we get ready to rumble. Josh, we're here at the Rolling Hills of Michigan, and once again, yes, the World Championship drivers lie in store for us, but the All-Stars get ready to get us underway.
And still behind the wheel of those Pro 4s that we've seen now for the last couple of weeks. But the All-Star Invitational Series has been exciting to watch, especially with all the celebrity drivers. We call them celebrities. Some of them are becoming full-blown, near-professional off-road racers. I talk about Keenan Kuzin. I talk about a couple others, Leo Mora being one of them. Mia Rose has shown to be very fast in the past. I'm looking forward to see what they do for 3 more rounds with 2 championships on the line for the Pro 4s for them as well.
They might have an interesting driver joining them next week, but let's talk about the schedule very quickly and see where we've been, where we've still got left to go. Like Josh mentioned, we are very much rooted in the Pro 4s right now, and that's going to run us to Wild Horse and Crandon to run out to the August 23rd Championship Showdown for both the Celebrity and for our All-Star drivers. Back at Bark River, though, we saw it back on July the 12th. Josh, talk us about this track a little bit more.
Well, Bark River is kind of that oddball out track. It's a little bit similar to Crandon, especially that full configuration. But you look at Wild West, you look at Wild Horse Pass, 2 very, very different, much shorter tracks than the likes of Crandon Long and Bark River. But this track in particular, Arjuna, pretty tough to pass at. We've seen that in the past. It's been kind of a challenge for these drivers to make those moves without being overly aggressive. That said, will the drivers in the World Championship be a little bit more aggressive than those all-star drivers? And we take a look top to bottom at the Bark River International Raceway, hosting real world racing this week as well, Arjuna. Very fantastic place to do that. But the difference is in the long straightaways of Sector 1, the tightness of Sector 2, those final 2 corners having a wall on them, very treacherous coming to the finish line.
There are 12 turns here as well, the most of any of the tracks that we have. And we talk about track evolution with the sand clay mixture, Blue Groove, the rubber on the tire wearing onto the dirt. That's something that's unique to this racing facility. Do note as well, back straightaway, turn 5. We've seen some drama with the jump. We'll hopefully not have such drama here today. That's the challenge that awaits drivers out there for qualifying right now. There's 2 minutes left in the session. And for a moment, Bo Albert, who was returning to the series, was on top, but it's to no surprise that I should say Luke Canup is currently on provisional pole. Josh.
That is not a shock at all. I think you can play an audio recording from the last handful of rounds, and Luke Knupp would be in the lead at some point in that audio recording. But Bo Albert running in second. We've seen a little bit of him this season. Not a whole lot, but as we look at him getting cattywampus a little bit over that turn number 1 jump off to the right, I'm excited to see what he does in this race because, Arjuna, we've only seen him in that All-Star Invitational first race of the Pro 4s at Crandon Short. Now we get to see him here at Bark River tonight.
So, is he technically a pro? He's definitely a pro esports driver, so I think he should be classified with the pros. So he's going to be going up against the likes of Scott Kerr, who in this Pro 4 has been able to get as many points almost as Knupp and Drapkin. It's just when you accumulate the total points that things look a little different. That was a bit more cattywampus from Bo Albert, running his way now in towards the back straightaway, and it will be all while qualifying ticks to 60 seconds left to run. Zachary Drapkin, no time on the board just yet, Josh.
He is on the track running laps, and it will put in, I believe, at least one. He will go up to P2. He was waiting to put in a good lap, and he puts in a 1:10.275 to put him about 3.5 tenths back from Luke Knupp at the front. But here's Scott Kerr, that driver that I've seen for a long time, Arjuna. I've watched him in these Pro 4s plenty of times. I've not seen much of him in the All-Star Invitational or in the World Championship for that matter as of late, but he is showing speed running in 4th and getting a win in that middle round. I say all-star race, but it wasn't an all-star race for the all-stars. It was a points race for them. He walked away with a win there.
He's in that Nitro Circus next level racing machine. He's winding his way through the middle part. He's almost 9 tenths off Luke Knupp, who in this Pro 4 is flying. He is 8 tenths clear of the field as qualifying draws to a close, and Luke Knupp continues to be the one to beat in the Pro 4s in the iRacing All-Star Off-Road Invitational. Here's how they'll line up for the first of 2 10-minute races. Not a surprise to see Knupp and Drapkin, I guess, at the front. The surprise is the margin. Will Knupp be able to run away? Is Drapkin going to be battling with the likes of Albert, Kerr, Kusin, and Reynolds? 1 second splits the front 3 rows, with Mia Rose then alongside with Wes Graham, Trevor Teal, and Brendan Lichtenberg, who has a new paint for today, completing our top 10. Adam Briggs, Leo Mora, 11th and 12th positions, while rolling from hopefully not unlucky 13th. It's Zach Christie. He's got Chris Leone alongside, so maybe that might be a bit unlucky. Brian Shabelski, Jonathan Rudy, who joins us for the first time in 16th, and then Mikey Lawrence and Jim DeChamp, 17th and 18th positions. Slightly bigger fields, and that's going to be interesting as well when we fully invert them for that second race. So there is going to be plenty to play for, even if you struggled a little bit in the first race of the day. If you're joining us for the very first time, do not forget you can head on to iRacing.com. New memberships are 40% off, and you can join these drivers with the Pro 4s at Bark River in iRacing official competition. Josh, what can you say about getting behind the wheel and that track evolution that I was mentioning slightly earlier?
Well, at Bark River, it's especially apparent in that last sector, because I mentioned all those tight corners down there. That's only going to provide more braking, especially out of these high horsepower Pro 4s, and that just bakes more rubber into the dirt, which is what we talk about track evolution. It's going to lose moisture, it's going to gain rubber, it's going to be slick for these Pro 4s. Expect to see that through the last couple of corners. The first sweeping corner in turn 2 that you see in the background of this shot right now could also have some track evolution in it as well, being difficult for those drivers to set up the rest of their lap. It could be gone in the slick nature of the track right there.
Luke Knupp's time, by the way, in qualifying, only a couple of tenths off Joe Blewett in qualifying the first time around. He did a 109.051, so it just goes to show how rapid Luke Knupp truly is. 10 minutes of racing means probably 9 laps here. We have a decent chunk of time before we actually get to the start. The pace truck's going to pull off and away before the drivers have to navigate through a couple more corners. And you mentioned it when we were looking at the track map, that final sector with the almost Supercross style whoop section that leads you through 2 double lefts.
And in the middle of those double lefts is basically a wall on the right edge of the track that all the drivers, if they want to be fast at this track, are going to have to use to their advantage. It's not technically off track. They won't gain an off track for it. Might gain a couple of contact points if you end up flipping the truck off of the wall. But if you're using that wall for a speed advantage, fully legal, and you're going to slingshot yourself through the last couple of corners.
So there's the pace truck off and away, fielding control of Canup, but still have that final sector to navigate. I get the sense Luke Canup's about to put on a masterclass here, given that gap in qualifying.
He's always put on master classes, but he's got Drapkin next to him. He's got Bo Albert behind, Scott Kerr in fourth. Got a lot of competition up here at the front.
And then the drivers who continue to impress us, Aero, Blake Reynolds, Mia Rose, continuing to show speed, but Bark River, its flowing nature, it's technical, it demands the most from the drivers. Luke Canup is forced to wait an age before the green flag is dropped in the next round of the iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational, and single file for the top four through the right of the turn one they will go. Now it's going to be side by side. Scott Kerr looks the long way around as Bo Albert tries to tuck tightly in through turns 1 and 2, but a tidy start through the field. It's only one, Jonathan Rudy, that slides to the back trying to stay out of trouble.
Good start up at the front, and it's back to form for Bo Albert, who was in the World Championship last year, now runs with us here in the All-Star Invitational, and he runs third right now, but side by side further back to the inside goes Blake Reynolds. Keenan Kuzin up on the outside as they race side by side for fifth.
Oh, they're getting quite physical, aren't they? They're really trying to get the elbows out. Mia Rose past Kusin, and Kusin now trying to defend from Teal and Graham, who are squabbling behind. Canup's going to break away, but only half a second on that first lap. Qualifying and race trim in terms of how you're going to drive these trucks over the course of the expected 9 laps going to be quite interesting. Behind, Bo Albert has a bit more separation where Scott Kerr is really putting on the pressure, but it's this whoop section that we're talking about. Look how much they ride up to the right before they slingshot through the double left.
And using that wall to their advantage, Arjuna, I mentioned they do it for speed, but remember back to Wild Horse Pass when the drivers would try and avoid that whip section as much as they can. It might provide some speed in Supercross or Motocross, with it being one-wheel drive, two-wheeled bikes. It slows down these pro trucks, so they try everything they can to avoid a whip section. Using that wall is what happens, and Blake Reynolds goes off and into the Jersey barrier.
He's not the first to flip, but I think he will continue to roll, unlike Brian Chabelski, who is the only driver now down on pit lane. Reynolds is going to slide down to 15th spot. And, well, it goes to show just how easy it can be to get tangled up in things here. A bit of a preview of what will happen when we throw 24 of these Pro 4s on. Let's not forget, 900 horsepower four-wheel drive. The fact that you've got all 4 corners of the car digging into the dirt means you can get away with a bit more than you can in the Pro 2s, where you had to be, let's be honest, a bit more technical.
Those Pro 2s really required a lot of different throttle rhythm that you really needed. You still need it in these Pro 4s, but very, very different. These don't have nearly as much understeer. The front end of the truck's not one to push as much because it does have power in those wheels, but you need that throttle rhythm to prevent yourself from scrubbing off speed. Any kind of drifting, and Keenan Kuzin talked about this a couple of weeks ago in that middle round of this campaign. Any kind of sliding is only going to scrub off speed, so controlling those slides, trying to keep it as straight as possible, it's going to be the fastest way around this racetrack.
There's a battle between Adam Briggs and Zach Christie. The 777's up to 12th. Mikey Lawrence watches on just in front of them. Oh, and Adam Briggs goes up and over, gets it slightly wrong on the entry in through turn 4, and just before they get to the jump at turn 5, it's a third one rolling and a second one down on pit lane.
He went completely over the wall, Arjuna, which unfortunately led to the iRacing officials saying, no, you can't do that, and towing him immediately back into the pits. Unfortunate for Next Level Racing's Adam Briggs, that 777 is going to end up a couple of laps down, and, well, he'll end up most likely starting in second with the invert, as Brian Zabelski is still in the pit lane P18 as well.
Yep, up front, still got the pressure from Drapkin, but it's only within 7/8 tenths of a second, and you can see just running a little bit wider through turn 1, entry into turn 2 now. Just maybe pushing that little bit harder. Bo Albert's been able to clear himself of Scott Kerr, and on his return to the Pro 4 truck, I saw on social media that Bo said he'd done about an hour of practice. It's holding up quite well.
Well, an hour of practice for a competitor from the World Championship last year is obviously going to be at least enough to keep up with some of the faster guys, and it's exactly what we're seeing from the Australian in third. But as we take a look at that replay of that is Adam Briggs going up and over and right over the jump.
And see ya, said the iRacing gods. When you go beyond certain points on the track, there's no coming back, and so escorted directly back to pit lane. Mia Rose has dropped to 7th spot in the 909 Queen's design, and I think still fighting with Wes Graham, Leo Moore, Brendan Lichtenberg, all embroiled in a fight. They're much more cordial up towards the front. They're pushing each other hard. Oh, Mia Rose took a different line, but it just works out.
This is all in a fight for P7 in the middle of the field. Rose gets through for 7th as Wes Graham is going to have to try again at that pass. They work his way further up into the top 10. And Wes Graham is way off the line as well. He's trying to arc it down into the corner, which might work in a sprint car, kind of taking the entrance high, dipping down low, and kind of letting the car come up off of the banking to the front straightaway or to a straightaway, as Wes Graham is going to get into the back of Mia Rose as we were just on board.
Big cattywampus there. Graham will take advantage. Rose will hold on, though, and slide into line. You're speaking of sprint cars. Don't forget that the World of Outlaws console game, its 2023 edition, will drop on Nintendo Switch October 3rd. Something to, of course, look forward to from the iRacing team that worked and helped over with Monster Games to bring that to life. Leo Moore, a previous race winner, and the only quote-unquote celebrity driver to have won a race this year overall. It did come as a result of the full invert. He's going to be in the mid-pack of the second race, not necessarily saying he's going to have that chance to be able to repeat the victory, but it's in a good position maybe to take advantage of start chaos and slide forward into a podium.
Well, listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. First things first, we need to get him an off-road truck for that die-cast mural he's got behind him. He does not have anything that runs on dirt. I mean, the Ferrari sometimes runs on sand, but you know,
is there a Porsche that we can't see? Because technically, if he's got if there's a 911 somewhere, that sort of counts.
I can't tell. Very well could, but that's back
pushing
on topic.
It, to be fair.
Yeah, back on topic. He has been quick, and you mentioned that one win he had earlier on in the season. That is the only celebrity driver to get a win, as you said. So, side by side as Wes Graham and Mia Rose come off of the jump.
Side by side in the air and somehow still surviving in through 6, sliding into 7. Graham now trying to convert the outside back to the inside, but it's Rose on the preferred line, controlling the car on the wall. Goodness, that's the new Ross Chastain contact after the fact, but it is Mia Rose in 7th, Wes Graham in 8th.
Did she get her off track for that?
Well,
if she didn't, we might be looking at a new Ross Chastain.
She took the definition of off track to a new limit. I think that's for sure. Maybe the iRacing devs haven't even thought of that.
I think our World Championship guys, if they're tuning in to the All-Star broadcasts, they might have some ideas going into the World Championship. But look up ahead. Mia Rose just kind of took a nosedive coming off of those whoops. She still needs to play a little bit of defense here because Wes Graham is right on her back bumper trying to catch back up. Leo Mora is now in this fight. Mora almost got to the inside of Wes Graham as they worked their way through that corner.
2 minutes to go means that I think we have probably 2 laps to run with Luke Canup ready to come to the line to end lap 7. So these drivers have about 2.5 laps. Just note that gap. Zachary Drapkin holding Luke Canup honest. And there's the contact from Leo Mora as they slide into the final sector.
He wants to get that spot from Wes Graham, but he's trying to play a little bit of defense and a little bit of offense at the same time. Might be able to catch Mia Rose if she makes just that slight bit of a mistake that kind of leads her back into that group, but she has pulled away over the last couple of corners as Leo Mora almost sends himself off of that jump. He'll touch the grass on the outside. Small mistake going over to the right as he hits the apex.
You can tell that they're on the limit and just how much control, even with four-wheel drive, you need. Blake Reynolds' recovery from 15th, now up to 11th. Zach Christie is back down, I believe, on pit lane, and he's dropped behind all but Adam Briggs and Brian Sabelski, who have both, to their credit, gone back out on track and tried to salvage something from this race. Ready to see the white flag, though, at the front, where it is still Luke Canup and Zachary Drapkin. we've been talking about them now for 2 years. It's not going to end. Is Zachary Drapkin in that red line all 56 going to give us something more to talk about?
Can he catch Luke Knupp? Last time by, Knupp ran a 110.9. Zachary Drapkin ran a 111.38. He needs to gain more time than, honestly, right now, he's just bleeding time off. He'll catch a little bit at the apex, but over the whoops as they work their way through the next couple of corners. Lap traffic up ahead, but they'll move right on out of the way. I believe that might have been Jim DeChamp as Drapkin gets loose again.
It was, and yeah, I thought for a moment the closing speed was more than it was. I don't think the traffic played too much of a part there. In confirmation, we are on the final lap, and as we cycle in through that middle sector, gap grows. If anything, it was at 1 second and building.
Through the last sector for Luke Knupp. He'll be starting tail end of the field. Zabelski and Christie are going to be on the front row as of now with that full field invert, but we've seen Knupp and we've seen Drapkin climb their way up through the field. Can Bo Albert get another third place spot in the next race, starting back in 15th?
It is still Luke Knupp, though, that continues to run the dominant force in the Pro 4s for the iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational. Another victory to his name, this time at Bark River in the rolling hills of Michigan, but pushed to the very end by Drapkin within 2 seconds at the line. Bo Albert does grab the final spot on the podium. Scott Kerr will cycle through to 4th, while Keenan Kusin, Mr. Aero, will get 5th. What an interesting race, and let's not forget, full invert, and we'll do it all again. Still waiting for all the cars to come across the line, but don't expect the results are going to change too much. It is the Team Gold number 5 in front of the red line all number 56, while Bo Albert's 06 machine takes 3rd. Only 7 seconds back. Going to be interesting to see them dice their way on forward. Scott Kerr for the Nitro Circus Sim Racing team starting things off in 4th, while Keenan Kusin, we're big fans of his, in 5th. Trevor Teals in 6th for a second Nitro Circus Sim Racing entry, while the Queen's Design 909 7th for Mia Rose. That was a pretty stern battle with Wes Graham, who was able to hold off Leo Mora. Blake Reynolds was going to drop down outside of the top 15, it seemed, but climbs his way up to 10th. Mikey Lawrence, Brendan Lichtenberg, and then Chris Leone, not getting in too much trouble, it would seem, for those drivers. The last on the lead lap, Jim DeChamp, Jonathan Rudy, Adam Briggs, Zach Christie, and Brian Sabelski. Some issues for them, had to stay out of trouble of the leaders as well, and now they'll flip things around and be starting at the very front for another 10 minutes of racing. Once again, we have a bit of a warm-up period between the two races. 5 minutes for the drivers to go out there and run themselves around the track. I feel like we shouldn't talk to Luke Knupp because we're pretty set on him probably having a charge through to the next race. So instead, why don't we bring Josh Willie and Scott Kerr together for a quick chat before we go racing once again?
Well, admittedly, I haven't done an interview with Scott Kerr in what feels like a long time, but Scott, welcome to the broadcast booth here of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Good solid run in race number 1, getting back used to these Pro 4s. Can you walk away with a win even after a full field invert going into race number 2?
I'm not too sure. Bark River is a very tricky track. Still trying to get used to the new dirt. We'll see what we can do. But, we'll just try our best out there.
Compared to Crandon Short versus Bark River, I mentioned getting used to kind of all the updates. What's the main difference in between Crandon Short when you ran that one and got that win, and here at Bark River where only could muster a 4th place in the first race?
I think I do a little bit better on Crandon because I've kind of mastered the starts there. The standing starts are pretty fun. Bark River is a bit different. I'm stuck back in, I think it's P15 right now on the start line. So we're just gonna have to try and get these wheels to bite into the dirt. And I had some pretty shoddy lap times there in that first race. So kind of need to calm down, pick myself up, and give her and go.
Fighting your way through traffic in race number 2. You mentioned starting back in P15. Is it going to be all following Luke Knupp, following Zachary Drapkin, just kind of letting them cut a hole through the field as you kind of try and stay behind them?
I'm going to try and keep them behind me, and then as they try and pass me, I'm just going to try and get my truck right in front of them so they can push me ahead. So that's kind of my game plan here. If I let them go ahead of me, it's a bit of bit of lights out. Canup, I think he in practice he pulled a 109.3, which was pretty impressive on these fixed sets. I also remembered that the fixed set has one big difference between that and what a lot of people do with open sets. And I kind of realized that a bit too late, but so now I'm trying to tune my driving skills to what this fixed set is, but just a lot of fun.
Not an easy task to keep Luke Canup and Zachary Trapkin behind you, but I look forward to seeing if you can do that in race number 2. Thanks for joining us up here in the booth, Scott, and good luck in this next race.
Alrighty, thank you.
Good to hear from Scott Kerr again. He slams that VR headset down. He's ready to get back going, Arjun, and so are we for race number 2 of the All-Star Invitational.
I'm impressed as well. I, as a glasses wearer for going on almost 20 years now, switched to contact lenses because I was in virtual reality at some point when I went racing. He's stuck with the glasses, he's still wearing virtual reality, and we've seen in the World Championship how many of our drivers run with VR. Josh Edmondson and Connor Parisi featured, of course, on Pimax social media a handful of times. Virtual reality here in the sim world, it's great. Cam Peterson took it that next step, Josh, let's not forget, in the World Championship with motion as well.
That motion sim combined with the VR, I don't think I have the talent to do that. It's already tough to wheel around these trucks, but then you've got both VR, having a look around everywhere you can in the cab, and then having motion put on top of that. I'll stick with my single 165 hertz monitor. I think that's all I can really do.
Well, 40 seconds left to go in this warm-up. It's not a surprise to see that Zachary Trapkin's out there as well as a handful of drivers. Scott Kerr, of course, was too busy talking to us, so he didn't get a chance to go out there and feel what the track's going to be like as he gets ready to roll from the back. And, of course, full invert means that the opportunity for some to try and break away at the front, but most of the strong drivers finished decently in that last race, Josh. There's not many that are in a awkward spot, you'd say.
No, I mean, we've got the full field invert, so you have the faster guys running at the back right now, but they always cut their way up through the field. And how quickly can they do that? Can anybody starting at the front of the field with the invert hold on for a win like we've seen in the past during the All-Star Invitational? Only time's going to tell as we get ready for race number 2.
The drivers will get themselves stacked up behind the pace truck, and then once again, we'll throw 10 minutes onto the clock and let them loose in the rolling hills of Michigan. Here's how they'll line up, though, after that full invert of the results from the previous race of the night. Brian Sabelski will lead us away. He'll have Zach Christie alongside with Adam Briggs and then Jonathan Rudy on row 2. Jim DeChamp and then Chris Leone will be on row number 3, while Brendan Lichtenberg in 7th has Mikey Lawrence on his outside in 8th. Blake Reynolds, Leo Mora, they make up the rest of the top 10, with Wes Graham and Mia Rose, who battled plenty in the first race, alongside on row 6. Trevor Teal in 13th, Keenan Kusin in 14th. Scott Kerr, Bo Albert, we will hopefully see them a bit closer this time after Bo Albert was able to break away in the first race. Zachary Trapkin and Luke Canup broke away, but with not much fighting. They'll have plenty of fighting to do if they want to grab victories once again. Just a reminder, iRacing.com, new memberships are 40% off, and there's never been a better time to jump in as we get closer and closer to the 15th anniversary of the iRacing servers going live on August the 26th. Josh, I'm not sure exactly when you first jumped into the world of iRacing. When was your first memory of even seeing something about iRacing?
I think it might have been around 2011, 2012. I remember very vividly seeing just kind of one video of, might have been the team guys in the, what at the time was the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series powered by iRacing, but kind of like a tandem drafts showcase, or just like practicing tandem draft at the time newly repaved and newly rescanned Daytona International Speedway for iRacing. So that was kind of my first time seeing anything like it. But how far we have come with all the world championships now and off-road racing here. And we take a look at Brian Zabelski, who is gonna start on the pole for race number 2 and try not to end up in the pits like he did in race number 1. Nice shirt also that he's repping for the evening.
It's always nice to be able to see what the drivers represent as well in terms of causes, and so lovely that we get that insight. was wishing that we could get that gallery style view, but the problem is that it's a busy night for the team at RaceSpot, and so there's other people in that as well. Pace truck again pulls off and away. It will peel itself away from the track, and the field will be left in the control of Zabelski and Christie for a couple of corners before the green officially drops. How far up do you think Luke Knup's going to get? How far up do you think Drapkin's going to be able to go as well?
I mean, we know how difficult it is to pass here at this track, so if they can get a line going, and that's why I mentioned to Scott Kerr, just kind of letting them cut their way through the field and kind of following them through might actually be a viable strategy, because they're going to have to be like a freight train working their way through the middle of this pack and trying to get up to the race lead. But Zach Christie on the outside, they've been fast. Adam Briggs always is quick. Jim DeChamp starting in 5th. Watch out for him. Jonathan Rudy, no baseline for him, and he starts in P4.
That's going to be the interesting thing. A bit of a wild card. The drivers know each other already with so much racing so far this season. How's it going to go? We'll head off into the whoop section, into those final couple of corners, and then Brian Zabelski, who's on the outside in the white, orange, and yellow, will get ready to punch the throttle and get us underway. Already a bit more stacked up than we were initially, I feel, in the first race, but now the long hold will come to an end. Green flag flies, and we go racing for the second time tonight. There is plenty of action as they cycle up through turn number 1, but it's not at the front. Jonathan Rudy's going to go wide and straddle the berm. 3 and almost 4 abreast. They will slither off the track. Who's going to be able to stay out of trouble?
They were 4 wide for a moment in the back. They're still all over each other as Scott Kerr is going to get on the side of Bo Albert. They both push Keenan Kuzin up the road as they'll fall back. But at the front, Adam Briggs, I mentioned, he's been quick. He's done league competitions against some of the World Championship guys before. He's out to an early race lead. Here's the squabble in the back. Zachary Drapkin ends up losing a ton of time. Bo Albert sitting in the back. He's on top of the wall out of this race.
That's a disappointment. You can see as well, Jonathan Rudy almost goes up and over. Keenan Kuzin and Scott Kerr are going to cut underneath and try and slide on through. Big send from Mia Rose once again on Wes Graham. Well, we know the full invert tends to bring out the madness, and there is plenty of contact going on. Kerr pinched around, but able to hold on. Big send to close to those in front.
Up is up plenty of spots from where he started, but now he's trying to get by Trevor Teal as Scott Kerr sends it up the inside as well. He'll make contact with Leo Mora as they work their way through the last two left-handers here at Bark River. Up to 7th goes Teal, up to 8th goes Knupp as we look at the battle now with the number 6 machine of Jonathan Rudy trying to hold off and charging Zachary Drapkin as Leo Mora is off and into the grass.
Yeah, the Omega Sim Racing car left and right, and that was Zach Christie pointed in the wrong direction and trying to spin himself around. Well, Brendan Lichtenberg's got an Oregon Trail livery, I've been told. Plenty of people trying to find the Oregon Trail. We're a long way away from that here in Michigan.
2 by 2, a little bit further back, and now Wes Graham is going to find himself kind of in the middle of this driver right here. Luke Knupp is sending it up the inside. I'm not sure who that was. I think it might have been Teal. A little late on the brakes, admittedly, but 3-4 wide now in the mid-pack as they all settle themselves out. Mia Rose is looking for 2nd on Brendan Lichtenberg as Luke Knupp was just middle 3 wide, or bottom 3 wide, I should say. Jim DeChamp in the middle.
Oh, and there's contact. It's going to be Knupp. That's forced very, very wide. Swooping up and under goes Wes Graham. Won't get the 2-for-1 initially because there's still 3 abreast as they slide into the whoop section. DeChamp's going to hold on, going to get on through. Graham now tries the up and under. Look how much battling there is. And while Knupp's being held back here, it's an opportunity for Briggs to continue to build the advantage not even halfway through this race.
4 seconds of an advantage as well. He knows his way around these off-road trucks. I'm not shocked to see Adam Briggs pulling away at the front, Arjuna, but all the drivers behind are beating and banging all over each other. They've got to refine this racing if they want to have any chance of catching Adam Briggs up in front. As Wes Graham, Trevor Teal, Zachary Drapkin, that's this group as Kuzin gets a little bit loose. Wes Graham gets shot back from that group in front.
And now Trevor Teal going to try and get to the inside of DeChamp. He's not going to be able to get there. He's going to have to now watch behind as Drapkin's red line all 56 mounts the berm. Well, track limits a suggestion in short course racing, but when you hit those berms, those big raised mounds, it can cost you some momentum. Knupp, by the way, now officially I think up to 4th spot.
All these trucks just kind of in a train right now, though still continuing to battle. They're not refining anything out. As to the inside goes Trevor Teal, who clipped the inside of that grass. Zachary Drapkin decided to follow him through, pushing to Champ down into 8th. Cruising to Wes Graham side by side and off and over. That's Zachary Drapkin.
Oh, it's the red line or 56. That's going to drop down and surely return to pit lane and join Bo Albert, who is seemingly out of the event. Adam Briggs will feel the pressure from Mia Rose and increasingly from Luke Canutt, but it's Zachary Drapkin. Might have been able to get going in 14th spot.
Mia Rose makes a mistake as well off of the jump. She'll fall back to 4th. This is a mess back here with Wes the Mess in the middle of it. Loose off the jump. That's Zach Christie going off and into the grass. Leo Mora throws a block on the 43 of DeChamp. Keenan Cousin's just trying to get clear of the mess as DeChamp gets shot out of the whoops and will make contact with Cousin.
It's messy from Wes the Mess, but I think he's going to be able to hold off Cousin. Here's the replay of Drapkin and what just happened to him. He got pinched initially on the run through the final quarter and then up and over the line. Doesn't actually go over. Cousin initially only sends him half a beam, and that's interesting physics if I've ever seen some.
What a save. That is a sidewall save if I've ever seen one, and I've seen a good bit, especially this year. But side by side for bumper to bumper for second, that's Mia Rose taking a bit of an interesting line through the grass there off of the jump. As Scott Kerr, Luke Canutt will battle for second. They are starting to catch Adam Briggs, but with 4.5 minutes left, Arjuna, I'd say about 3 laps left before we end up taking the checkered flag here in race 2. 2.2 seconds. It's one thing to catch him, it's another thing to pass him.
Yep. It's, again, not easy to pass here, even with four-wheel drive. I saw Mia Rose slide very wide just on the outside of the shot, so the gap opened up more to Canutt as his quest to close on Kerr continues. I think it's all now going to really come down to how much Scott Kerr and Luke Canutt battle, because Adam Briggs might have a best friend in the form of the 84, but if Kerr doesn't fight too hard initially with Canutt and they can close the margin and then make it a three-way fight, Briggs maybe will not have the opportunity to run away. Back in the mid-pack, up and over the jump, it's Keenan Cousin on the offense.
Honestly, Keenan Cousin is best on offense. I haven't seen a whole lot of his defense, to be fair, but I think the moments we've seen where he's having to defend, not exactly where his driving style suits him. I think it really suits him when he's on the offensive trying to get by another truck, because he knows how to use that bumper. He knows how to control the sliding really well. And we go on board with Cousin, taking advantage of a mistake by Jim DeChamp to push the 9th place driver into 10th as he'll keep it on the inside. There's exactly what I'm talking about. Controlling the sliding. He doesn't slide out like DeChamp just did, and he's going to almost clear him coming over the whoop section.
Nicely done, and now the 43 very off kilter through 4, and on the entry into the jump, it's going to mean the long way around for Zachary Drapkin's return and trying to recover. Luke Canutt, by the way, has gone to the front with 3 minutes to go. Adam Briggs has made a mistake. Not sure exactly how he's dropped to third, but Luke Canutt looking like he might be able to go back-to-back at Bark River.
Scott Kerr is also in this conversation as well in second place. Briggs isn't done. He's going to try and catch back up, but that lead that he got with admittedly more of the celebrity racers around him, that was just eaten alive by the 2 professional drivers in Canutt and Kerr as they fight now for the win.
So often when I commentate on the Porsche All-Stars, it's nice, relaxed, and we're more just there for a good time. We chat with the drivers. Not here in the iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational, Josh. This maybe sometimes feels more intense than the World Championship. Is
anything in off-road calm and collected? You're expecting calm and collected?
I mean, we'll find out next week, won't we, Josh?
Indeed we will. I gotta get a paint going for that, by the way.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Potential guest driver, if your paint gets approved, Josh, I think that's going to be the key thing. If we all approve on the paint that you're going to run, you will be part of the All-Stars next week.
I mean, it's just going to have hashtag blame Josh written all over it, but I'm excited to see what my 1400 iRating does against some of these drivers, because, I mean, at the front, I'm seeing, like, 4,000, 4,000, 5,000. I like a little bit further back. I mean, Chris Leone at 1,400. We got Zach Christie at 1,200. Jim DeChamp at 917. I think I might actually have a shot with some of those guys.
Let's grab a look at how I think the lead swapped hands. You see Adam Briggs at the front of the shot, and I think there's going to be maybe some contact, or is it just a bad... Oh, it's a bad landing, uncomfortable, and oh, Lucan up the inside, 2-for-1 special. That's what off-road short course is meant to be about.
A lot of the passing that we've seen in the All-Star Invitational, Arjuna, and that we're going to see in the World Championship is a lot of maximizing on mistakes. And just, it could be a half lane up than you really need to run. You get to that inside, you can make that pass happen. Beautifully done by Canup, and pulling away now 2 seconds ahead of Scott Kerr, trying to catch up for his second All-Star race win of the season. I think Canup is going to be at what, 5, 6? Starting to lose count?
Yeah. This is impressive in the Pro 4s. It goes to show again, talked about it a lot last year, both Canup and Drapkin, two that would not be out of place in the World Championship. The pole position time, the qualifying effort from Canup again, what was it, 3-4 tenths off of Joel Blewett's effort in the first round? As we come to the white flag, Canup is now lined up with Team Gold and is flying.
You talk about a driver that if he would have qualified, would have tried to qualify, I should say, because I think if he did try, he would have made it into the World Championship, but he could be a World Championship competitor. I think we'd see him right now solid, at top 10 at the minimum, maybe even top 5, maybe even contending with the likes of Connor Berry, the likes of Keaton Swain, Jarrett Liebert in the top echelon of this series right now. He is great at off-road racing, and it's a pleasure to see him at least compete in the All-Star Invitational Series, so we get him some spotlight on Wednesday nights, exactly where he deserves to be in the spotlight.
Exactly. It's great that we have the mix of the pros and the celebrities, and we can celebrate them both. Drapkin and Kusin fighting, Mia Rose, Adam Briggs, Trevor Teal, Brendan Lichtenberg, plenty of action up and down through the field, but it's at the front for 2 seconds where there's a margin for Luke Canup. Back-to-back victories for the first time in this 2023 iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational in the rolling hills of Michigan. It's Luke Canup that gets it done.
Gets it done again, and in another dominating fashion. He didn't lead every lap, but fighting from the very, very back of this field was a great drive. And we've got side-by-side battle still in the back of this field. This is Zach Christie and Chris Leone working their way through the last couple of corners.
You might be part of this next week, Josh, as we come our way towards the line. This is for 12th position. Christie, who spun twice, is going to still finish in front of Leone, but you can never count anything out in off-road racing. You're always going to push to the very end. Christie, for a second, seemingly scored in front of Mikey Lawrence. Couple of cars funneling to the outside of Bark River. Curious to talk to them and to figure out if they're glad to see the back of this track or if they're looking forward to making their way back to a more bullring style track next week. Race results have Luke Canup on top once again in that Team Gold number 5, and like we were saying in that warm-up, had a feeling we were going to be talking to him regardless. Scott Kerr second, great podium for him after working his way from the inverted back of the field. Mia Rose also on the podium with Adam Briggs, Trevor Teal, the rest of your top 5. Brendan Lichtenberg in 6th with Leo Mora, Keenan Kusin, Zachary Drapkin, and Wes Graham. That's how crazy this race was. The likes of Mora and Christie and Wes the Mess having so many issues, but still up there in the top 10. Mikey Lawrence, Zach Christie, Chris Leone, Jim DeChamp, Brian Zabelski, Jonathan Rudy all on the lead lap, while Bo Albert unfortunately DNF in the second part of the race. Will be unfortunate after what was such a strong podium finish earlier. We will get the chance now to talk to Luke Canup, who joins us from Victory Lane in 2 consecutive races. Luke, I mean, clearly you've got something figured out in this Pro 4. How was things in that second race, though? A lot less drama in the first race. You had to carve your way through plenty of that in the second race.
Yeah, that was insane again. That one was even more insane. I think I had a mix of everything getting taken out, people crashing around me, and then a little bit of a comeback from behind win there. So always cool to get another sweep. These Pro 4s have just, I mean, they're a lot different now, but they're definitely a strong suit of mine again, and maybe we'll see what we can do next year.
Oh, I like that. Let's look forward, though, to the rest of what we've got tonight and the Team Gold teammates going out there at Bark River. What are you expecting? It's a difficult track to pass at just because of some of the longer sweeping corners and some of the opportunities that provides to apparently run 3 wide, we found out tonight.
Yeah, honestly, this place is one of the hardest to pass at. So I expect probably a lot of carnage from people if they have a bad qualifying lap. But Team Gold definitely feels good for their qualifying. And, you know, a little bit of mixed crazy things going on. You know, Trent is struggling with some issues right now, but he'll get that hopefully figured out. And then, you know, Joel and Justin, of course, are going to rip as always. So just can't thank them enough. And then Rigid Industries and everyone else. Thank you, guys.
Luke Knupp joins us in the broadcast booth. Always great to have a chat with him. We chatted with Scott Kerr, who grabbed second in the second race. So instead, Josh Lee is going to have a quick catch-up with Mia Rose.
Well, Mia, another successful night, I'd say, for you in both races. But I'll go to race number 1 first, fighting in that mid-pack, or seemingly around a car the entire night. How was that race?
Was fun, and then the truck slid a little bit too wide and the concrete wall decided to say hi, so dropped out of that. And I think I then had 2 other slowdown penalties, just cutting the corners a bit too close, but luckily I was able to clear them before either getting collected or losing positions.
Race number 2, it also looked like Yael Jerome up there at the front until the charging freight train of Luke Knupp, Zachary Drapkin, or Luke Knupp and Scott Kerr, I should say. Drapkin ended up wrecking out of that race, but going through race number 2, running at the front, improve your confidence at all in these Pro 4s? A little apprehensive coming into this one.
I think practice and qualifying sort of gave me a bit more confidence. The first race, I knew something was going to happen that was, you know, sort of my causing, but the second race, yeah, I was surprised that only 2 trucks blew by me. I was expecting a couple more, but it seemed like they were all fighting behind me. So, but the last lap pass with Briggsy was actually pretty nice on my behalf.
Moving forward now, only 2 rounds left. Wild Horse Pass and back to the long configuration of Crandon. Which one of those tracks are you looking more forward to? Is it the high speed, kind of short nature of Wild Horse Pass or the classic nature of Crandon?
I'm all looking forward to Crandon. I've got a great feeling that Wild Horse is going to be an absolute crapshoot, like the Pro 2s were, if we've got a bigger field like we did tonight. Probably going to be a bit of a chaos night, but I think Crandon, the last race, you know, it's probably going to be fun, bit more chaos being at the final race of the season. So, yeah, I can't wait.
And thanks for joining us in the booth tonight, Mia. Congratulations on your 2 finishes in race number 1 and 2. We look forward to seeing you next week and the week after for the finale.
Great, thank you.
I want to put it out there, Arjuna. I'm not going to be the point of the chaos next week. I will not. I chose Wild Horse Pass, yes, because it's one of my better tracks. It's probably because it is a bit of a crapshoot, like you said.
Yes, and we have that chat with Mia Rose, and now we'll talk with Bo Albert. Bo, not such a great run in the second race, unfortunately, but race 1 saw a podium, so that curse of Arjuna that we've been talking about, 50-50 there.
It's still a thing. I'm telling you, it's still a thing, that curse. But no, it's been a lot of fun running in the All-Stars. I've got to say, loading in the Pro 4, it's been a good challenge. But I haven't got the win yet, so I'm saying, Arjuna, that curse is still very much real.
Well, how are you enjoying these Pro 4 trucks? I mean, very different, of course, to the Rallycross machines. You getting the urge to maybe come back next year, make a run at a World Championship?
We'll see. I obviously still need a lot more practice in these things. The race pace in particular is still a bit of a struggle because these things are so different to the Rallycross cars, like you said, and my respect for the likes of Killian, Jacob Rafoss, Josh Fox as well. Those guys that are doing the trucks as like from Rallycross, my respect for them has gone up massively because these things are totally different. They are a challenge to drive. There's so many different things you have to think about. So yeah, the urge is there to come back, but it's just whether or not I can make the schedule free enough to make that happen. At the moment, I can only make every second week, which is a bit of a shame, but every time I'm out on track, these things are a blast to race in.
Well, the time, I'm guessing, is not too bad in Australia either for this particular series, but how's your internet? That's the important question.
It's Australian internet, so you can probably answer that yourself in all honesty, but we're looking at options to try and get the internet a little bit better. Even if I have to fork over some money to Elon Musk if I really get desperate. So there's options available. We just need to see what we can do and hopefully make that happen and maybe even get some Twitch streams going again.
Maybe Bo Albert will be streaming to you via a satellite near you. Bo, always great to chat with you, and hopefully we'll see you for the rest of the next 2 weeks.
No worries. Thanks, guys, and good luck with your broadcast for the rest of the night.
Oh, it's going to be a fun one, that's for sure, because 3 rounds left to go in the 2023 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Keaton Swain, Connor Barry, Joel Blewett, and Jarrett Liebert still have plenty to prove to us. We're ready to rumble in the rolling hills of Michigan, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the World Championship Series drivers.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
It was just 24 thousandths of a second that split Connor Barry and Keaton Swain 7 days ago. But today, it is 12 points between them with 3 rounds left to go in the 2023 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Hello everyone, welcome back to RaceSpot TV and to the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, and boy are we in for an exciting championship showdown, because not just those 2 drivers proving themselves at the front consistently, Jarrett Liebert and Joel Blewett, the rookies, have been staking their claim as well. Let's bring in Joshua Lee. Let's talk about what a wild season it's been, because Josh, last week I think proved that short course is maybe the most fun and the most exciting racing you can have on iRacing.
I've been saying it, nobody's believed me, but now finally we get another close finish, which makes a second close finish in the history of this series. And bold claim, but I'll make it right now, I don't think it's the last close finish we might see this season or in the history of this series, because you mentioned it, that championship battle that we've got going right now can go any which way. Bark River tonight, then Wild Horse Pass, then Crandon, 6 points paying rounds left, and it could go the way of third place right now, Jarrett Liebert. Could be Keaton Swain running away at the front. Could be Connor Barry getting 2 championships in a row. Anything can happen at the front of this championship.
I think it's all going to come down to qualifying ultimately and putting yourself out of a danger zone in terms of mid-pack chaos. Here's that look at the schedule. The only thing to really note, of course, is that All-Star Week that broke up the competition, put the drivers in the 700 horsepower Pro 2 machine, as the name implies, 2-wheel drive at the rear. Crandon short, it was a lot of fun, but it was all just about the fun. Josh Edmondson had the delight of winning. The next week at Wild West, it was a bit more of a return to championship form for him. After this, Wild Horse Pass, Crandon, 2 very different tracks to run us through the end of the championship. But how do you accumulate points? 105, the maximum that you can walk away with in a race event. It starts in qualifying, where you can get 5 points, and then if you grab the win, 50 points to your name. Invert the top 8 for that second race and do it all again. 50 points again going the way of the winner. It means effectively less than 100 points. The maximum delta between the most and the least points that you can grab on your quest for your share of $25,000. A champion walking away with $10,000 to their name. The points, let's talk about them, because it's been oh so close in 2023, but we're starting to see more daylight, Josh. 12 points between Connor Barry and Keaton Swain, a further 9 back to Jarrett Liebert, and Joel Blewett needing a bit of a statement to keep himself in contention.
He'll need a statement race, but he's already had a couple of statement races this season. Can he do one in the latter half of this campaign? Killian DeLalmo is there in 5th. Kind of all the drivers back from there in the top 10. They're mainly just trying to not look in the rear view mirror, trying to not look at 12th place with a qualification line is and keep looking forward, get a solid finish in the points. And all Barry, Swain, and Liebert are thinking is past the guy in front of me. Barry is thinking, let me keep these two guys behind me. Swain's wanting to get the lead. Jarrett's wanting to get past both of them and walk away a first-time World Championship winner on the iRacing service.
And of course, the other thing to keep in mind when it comes to drivers maybe not in the championship contention, top 12 retain licenses for 2024 and moving forward, so always important to keep yourself up and in the mix. So that's how the points are shaping up right now. Let's focus in on two of the drivers qualifying underway. Keaton Swain never has grabbed a pole position, but 26 consecutive top 10s. What a remarkable career he's had. The thing that really stands out to me, P4 is his average Q, but only 13 positions gained over those 26 races. I say only, Josh. That means he's staying out of trouble more often than not.
He is the most consistent driver that we've got in the World Championship right now. And kind of last year, it felt like he was consistent, but also had the wins to back it up. It was just a couple of finishes that put him down the order that ultimately led to Connor Barry walking away the champion. This season, Keaton Swain is the consistent one, doesn't have the wins to back it up, and Connor Barry is both consistent with wins to back it up. And that's just kind of how we're looking in the championship right now. Swain's just done a lot, but not enough to hold on to the points lead.
Once again, he led the championship with the red number plate for so long in the first half, but has seen Connor Barry surpass him in the second half. Let's also talk about Joel Blewett, because we think he might need a bit of a statement, right, to keep himself in contention. Just 10 starts to his name, but already has grabbed a win and 10 top 10s. That's an important stat as well, being able to stay out of trouble. The thing that always surprises us with Joel is the fact that he said qualifying nerves are going to have to be one of the things he would have to overcome in 2023. He's been able to be pretty consistent in being quick. The average of P5 maybe not telling the whole story.
Well, right now he sits top of the board in the timing for qualifying, but nothing but top 10s, a worse finish of 8th coming in the second race at Crandon earlier on this season. We've spoken a lot to Joel Blewett. He was emotional on that first win that he grabbed here at Bark River earlier on in the season. He knows how to get wins. I mentioned it just a couple of moments ago. He's had statement races before. Needs to do it now when it counts.
And so with that, let's go to the coverage of qualifying, because less than 30 seconds are left to run, and Jarrett Liebert is going to the line. He might be one of the last drivers to challenge Joel Blewett. As he crosses the line, he punches in a 108.666. It's a 10th of a second off, and Joel Blewett has done it again, it would seem. Pole position with the pressure on, needing that statement to keep himself in the championship. He goes even faster than he did the first time here at Bark River. It's half a second faster than the qualifying record that he laid down. It's pole position number pole position number 3 for Joel Blewett, and again comes at a great time for that team goal number 27. It's the rookies though that are on the front row, and notice that Killian Dolomo and Jacob Verfoss then separate those two from Keaton Swain and Connor Barry, the two that battled to the line a week ago. No points as well for Connor Barry. Jarrett Liebert also needing the 4 points that he got. Quinton Delomo, Nicholas Dashalet, Tom Grady, and Crystal King, they make up the rest of the top 10, while Josh Edmondson buried down in 11th alongside with Christopher Plumley. It's Josh Fox, a previous race winner here, that sees Justin Kay to his right-hand side, while Alex Bergeron, Terry Miller, Connor Parisi, and then Tyson Miller through the top 18. Big field, of course, just the 22 tonight, though. Cody Retzlaff, Nicholas Wellhouse, Brandon Proudfoot, and then Trenton Briley make up the rest of the field. And qualifying already slightly changing the championship equation, Josh.
Those no points for Connor Barry is crucial, especially when you look at qualifying second. Jarrett Liebert mentioned he needs a really good night as well. There's 4 points up on Barry immediately. Keaton Swain, even though it's only 1 point qualifying in 5th, he gets 1 point up on Barry before we even begin points racing tonight.
The two missing, by the way, Keith Jeffrey, who might be having technical issues. I saw a message going into the virtual paddock just a couple of minutes ago. And Parker Retzlaff also missing, but maybe there are NASCAR responsibilities for Retzlaff to focus on, despite him winning the second race the first time that we came here. There's the look on board with Joel Blewett. Again, He does not go to sleep before these races. And why is that important? Because in the UK, on the other side of the pond from where Bark River is located physically, it is 2 o'clock in the morning, Josh.
We know that's rough. I mean, we've seen it in almost all the world championships. I remember Mitchell de Jong in the finale of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series a couple of years ago, doing that race from Europe and doing it at wee hours of the morning, at that point being around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and didn't end up winning the championship, but did end up putting in the laps that he needed to and was in the conversation. So we know iRacing is worldwide. Everybody comes together for these world championships. We know it's early in the morning, around 9, 10 a.m. right now for Bo Albert from that All-Star Invitational. Couldn't imagine being that is much different than 2 a.m. not falling asleep before these races for Joel Blewett.
Yeah, we've got 5 countries represented, don't we? The USA, France, Canada, Norway, and the UK. England in the case of Joel Blewett, so it is truly an international affair. Pace car is off and away, but let's not forget, still have to go through that final sector in order to be able to get this race underway. The rookies on the front row, it's the championship leaders on the third row behind that do have some work, and rallycross converts, Killian Dalomo and Jacob Rafos in front. Killian Dalomo won the last race of our second event here in 2022, and he's been hungry. Plenty of P2s searching for another victory. Ready to go in the hills of Michigan. It's the rookies that wait for the green flag, and Joel Blewett gets us racing at Bark River International Raceway up through turn number 1 for the 2023 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. It's a nice tidy start. Connor Barry is going to be battling with Keaton Swain, who gets in front and slams the door shut. Blewett clear though of Liebert, Dalomo and Rafos, the top 4.
Fox loses a bit of spots. Same thing with Alex Bergeron. They're 2 wide, 3 wide now. Further back in the field as Joel Blewett tries to pull away at the front. Exactly what he needs to do. Here's Keaton Swain, Jacob Rafos, Connor Barry. 3 wide as Barry looks to the inside. He's going to get by Rafos. Doesn't make it past Swain. They'll follow each other through. 4th and 5th now going through sector 3.
The Nitro Circus Sim Racing teammates, I think, going to have an understanding. Jacob Rafos not going to battle too hard with Connor Barry, knowing the championship is on the line here. Watch on that left side of the screen, the green highlight under 8th position. That is the invert for the second race. Quintin Dalomo currently sits in that hot seat. He would lead us to the green in his green virtual drivers by TX3 machine. But it's at the end of the first lap. Well, already Joel Blewett has built up about a 1-second buffer to Jarrett Liebert, Killian Dalomo, Keaton Swain, and Connor Barry, the top 5.
Killian Dalomo running a really, really good race right now, like he has the rest of the season. He's got a solid number of podiums, sitting at 4, not really finishing outside the top 10 at all this season, other than a couple of races earlier on in the campaign. But here's his brother, Quintin Dalomo, currently on that invert line of 8th. He's got Josh Edmondson behind, who we haven't seen, and kind of, I think, the Josh Edmondson that we've seen in the past. He hasn't had those results to back up that number 4 he's got on the side. Yes, he sits in 5th right now of the points. Not a bad season at all. But I think as two guys, Artuna, who expected Edmondson to be in the conversation for a championship, he just missed the mark this season.
He's definitely someone that wishes this World Championship was in the Pro 2s, but it's not going to get his wish. Rides on board with that Pimax Crystal VR headset up towards the front. Margin just continues to grow. This is perfect for Joel Blewett in terms of being able to establish himself a little bit more in the championship mix. The only drawback, the only issue, Liebert 2nd, Swain is 4th, Barry is 5th. There's only 2 points per position. Joel Blewett's only closing 10 positions on 10 points, on Connor Barry. Add the 5 that he gained in qualifying, 15 points moves the needle, but not that much.
Those points are going to start to get crucial, especially going into race number 2, and especially as Connor Barry makes a move on Keaton Swain for 4th. Swain slammed the dirt and just ended up in the grass. He makes contact with Jacob Rafos, and Swain's around on the racetrack.
And could that be the championship for Keaton Swain? He will drop outside of the top 15, and the streak of top 10s will come to a close.
That might have been championship over for Keaton Swain. Honestly, right there. He did not tow. He ends up going back on the track, running P21. but that is so many points now Keaton Swain is going to completely miss out on, with Blewett being in the lead, Liebert in second, and Barry in fourth.
And so we'll get the live points up on screen in a couple of moments' time, hopefully, but Jacob Rafos battles in 6th position as Joel Blewett continues to run at the front, and now with championship hopes that surely have come alive. Here's a look at the replay. It's side by side, the two that battled to the line a week ago, and it's in the air. I can't quite tell if there was contact mid-air. Rafos then makes the further contact with Swain, who is unable, a passenger from there, to do much of anything.
Did they make contact? Was that contact between the two championship contenders? If it was, I don't necessarily think that's Connor Barry's fault. I think Keaton Swain was doing what he had to do, trying to protect his spot, trying to not give an inch to the driver leading the championship right now. And look at what that's done, down to 4th.
And look at those points as well in the case of Jarrett Liebert. The 4 points in qualifying, the extra 4 points he's got in positions as well. He's within 13 of Connor Barry. Joel Blewett through all of it, the pole position, the potential race victory, he's still 43 points back. He's only 2 in front of Keaton Swain.
You mentioned statement race, Arjuna. Is this what we're seeing from the 27 of Joel Blewett right now? Leads the way, 1.5 seconds, got the pole, got 5 points off of that. Sits 43 back, now ahead of Keaton Swain. He's gonna need more good results. He's gonna need a little bit of bad luck on the side of Barry and Jarrett Liebert. But is this putting Joel Blewett back in the championship conversation? I think it is.
He still runs at the front, pretty calm. Let's see how the invert top 8 goes as well. Crystal King currently sits in that inverted top 8 position after Quintin Dalomo has been cycled up to 5th. We take a look at the virtual drivers by TX3 Machine now. There's the champ, Connor Barry. Not sure if there was contact again from the angle that we saw, but the way that Keaton Swain's car kind of responded, it looked like they had left each other plenty of room, but still somehow he got a bit more out of shape than Connor Barry, and maybe uncomfortably out of shape as well. Life points, by the way, continue to cycle inside of that top 12 for those, Josh, that want to hold on to their World Championship licenses.
That relegation is going to get very, very interesting with those drivers from 13th on back who are trying to stay in this series. Crystal King being one of them, who just barely missed out on relegation last season, trying to hold on to her pro license for 2024. And Killian Delamo, Connor Barry, 2 drivers who don't really have to worry about relegation at this stage, but they've got to worry about a championship on the line. And Connor Barry looks to the inside of the Altus Esports truck, side by side for P3.
Killian Dalomo's had a great season, but is he going to be able to hold off the champ Connor Barry, who knows that those 2 extra points just could give him a little bit of an extra buffer? On board with the Nitro Circus sim racing driver, we will run calm as ever, but one thing that we know from Connor Barry, when there is a win, when there is some emotion, he can get excited, which is what we love to see.
But look at his face right now. He is calm. He's collected. He is focused. He knows what he has to do. He, of anybody in the iRacing service, and I go on record saying this, you can quote me, he might be one of the only drivers that I have seen that makes a virtual truck an extension of him. And I think that comes from the real life racing that he has done. No sense to me with him being our former champion and now in the lead of the points with all the real life racing he's done. He knows how to wield Pro 4 trucks, Pro 2 trucks, any kind of truck on the off-road in the real world. And he goes into the virtual world, uses all that same techniques, and ends up a champion.
And I wonder as well if that experience of this truck in the real world makes it just so calm in the sim. You don't get the sensation of going up and down, right? It's such a big thing. Look at the cut line as well, by the way. 1 point between the 15 of Nicholas Dashley, who has dropped down to 16th spot compared to the 22 machine of Trenton Briley. And that is the difference between having to go through the road to the World Championship. It's an uncomfortable road. Connor Barry to the inside of Killian Dalomo. Up and over the jump they will fly, but the Altus Esports truck continues to just hold off that number 1.
as much as he can, and we look back on board with Connor Berry as he fights for this third spot, running at a time with only 4 to go, this time by the stripe. We mentioned tough to pass here at Bark River. Berry's trying to get that bumper out, but not much he really can do. Del Olmo has been running the exact same line as Berry, admittedly the fastest line around this racetrack. Berry trying to find an alternative way to get by the Altus Esports number 5.
Connor Barry might be set to finish 4th in the first race at Bark River, exactly what he did earlier this season. Can Killian Del Olmo hold him up, though, for one more lap to be able to grab his second podium here at Bark River in the first race of 2023. A bit of a mistake there from Del Olmo. He went tight. Barry to the outside. Oh, but it's again just going to see that line covered off. Remember, pair of 11-lap races. Track evolution plays its part as well. How these drivers have set their trucks up to handle. Robbins racing in short course, but Barry still frustrated into the final sector.
I'd be frustrated too if I was him, honestly. I'm running for points. Del Olmo is not mathematically out of the championship picture, but at this point we need a miracle if he wants to end up at the top of the season standings. Barry's trying to find any way he can get around him, and he is trying. I mean, he's trying to get the bumper out. He is trying to use alternative lines. Nothing seems to work right now on this number 5, and I think if the one were able to get by him, he would make a run at the 25 and the 27, but this is just bleeding off time. Only 3 laps to go.
And there you can see it's not a Formula rim from Killian Del Olmo. It's a hybrid GT Formula, but it's now not going to be of any use as he soars at it. Barry, with the elbows out once again, this time is able to clear in the run to turn number 4. And the champ's gonna grab the podium and 2 vital championship points.
That one machine saw inches at the bottom of the line, not feet, inches. Got to the inside of the 5, pushed him up the track and made that pass. He didn't wreck him, he just gave him a little bump on the back end, and he ended up with that pass. That's what you need to do in these trucks sometimes. If it's a roadblock in front of you, get that bumper out. Don't wreck them, just move them.
Just a slight move. I did see the clip of last week got posted on social media, Josh. I thought the battle through the final corner was great. Regular short course racing. Some disagreed.
And that is a short course at its finest. I think to get that close of a finish, especially going through the final corner, a hairpin corner at Wild West, that's just sometimes what you have to do. It's not wrecking. If you wreck the guy, obviously you're wrecking him to move him out of the way. But if you just give him a little bit of a bump, you move him up out of the groove, that's what you need to do in short course racing. I mentioned how tough it is to pass. It's not like any other form of racing where you can rely on others' mistakes, especially in a world championship. Sometimes you just have to get that bumper out.
Absolutely. And by the way, we go from a track that had 4 turns last week, 12 turns this week, back to 4 turns next week. It's the dichotomy of short course and the contrast that you have between the various track types. We're going to come on to the final lap of the race in a couple of moments' time. 11 lap schedule. Joe Blewett continues to run! And in the battle for 8th, Crystal King up and up and up and over. And Alex Bergeron rips away the inverted pole position for race 2 and any hopes of a good finish for Crystal King.
Inverted pole position. I think that's also going to affect Crystal King at the relegation line in the points as well, as she falls to 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, and she got stuck on a wall in another corner as well, unfortunately. And that is going to keep her from a good finish tonight, like you mentioned. But white flag is out. Joel Blewett leads the way.
And it is going to be potentially a important victory, but not the victory that gives him the points margin that he wanted. Up through turns 4 and 5 once again. A short 200 meter, 600 feet blast after that into the swooping turn number 6. And now, with Jarrett Liebert hot on the heels, the rookies have made a statement here.
A statement from both of them, I think. Jarrett Liebert capitalizing on the mistake that Keaton Swain made, move himself up into second place. Joel Blewett gets a ton of points back on the drivers in front. He won't make up a whole lot to Connor Berry, not going to make up a whole lot to Jarrett Liebert, but getting Keaton Swain out of the conversation was important for all three of these championship contenders.
Joel Blewett went even faster in qualifying here at Bark River, and he will grab his second win of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. A great drive in that number 27 for Team Gold Esports on top once more. There's no emotion, there's still another race, a job still left to be done. Jarrett Liebert grabs second in the Team Rogue number 25, while Connor Barry, the champ, slides his way up forward to third spot, and making sure he minimizes the damage in points. What an interesting race. Keaton Swain's championship hopes may be up in smokes. Plenty of drama for us to consider. And there's Crystal's King, by the way.
Yep. That's so unfortunate for Crystal, because I was literally just looking at the points, seeing she was 2 spots up on the relegation line, gaining 3 spots in this points on the night. Unfortunately, that might have just ruined that for her.
That was rough, that's for sure. Here's a look at Joel Blewett's margin of victory after the 11 laps. Not just the fastest lap, but 1 second clear of those behind. Liebert put it on the front row, able to hold on to second, and now has to try and work his way on forward. Connor Barry third, Killian Dalomo in front of Quintin Dalomo once again in that Altus Esports and Virtual Drivers by TX3 contingent. Jacob Rafoss, Nitro Circus Sim Racing have a second entry up inside of the top 6 with Tom Grady, Alex Bergeron, who will be at the very front of our second race, and then Josh Fox and Josh Edmondson, the rest of your top 10. I do expect there to be something in the post-race report about Alex Bergeron, but it doesn't do much for the here and now. Cody Retzlaff, Nicholas Wellhouse, Christopher Plumley, Connor Parisi, Tyson Miller, Terry Miller, and then Keaton Swain, able to salvage 17th, but he'll be frustrated, that's for sure. The top 10 streak comes to an end. He's in front of Nicholas Dachelet, Brandon Proudfoot, and Trenton Briley. 2 more trucks to talk about, Justin Kay and Crystal King. That's a look at the results from top to bottom. The drivers have a brief warm-up session and an opportunity for them to gather their composure. And I guess, Josh, we're going to end up talking about the big drama, the big talking point in that first race.
Which one? There was a couple coming out of that one. We have the championship, we have the relegation line, we've got the fact that Joel Blewett just kind of blew this championship door fully wide open, 6 behind Keaton Swain. Swain was able to make up a good amount of spots to kind of just stop the bleeding, put a band-aid on it in that last race, but Barry leads by 15. Liebert can still strike on the 1. Keaton Swain now is going to be the one relying on a miracle. Same thing for Joel Blewett, but he just needs he needs more mistakes. He's already got that mistake from Swain to get him within striking distance there. He needs one from the 25 and the 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that battle for the relegation is important as well. I don't want to downplay it, but yeah, for me, Keaton Swain, that was the moment of that first race. It is Trenton Briley just on the inside. 5 points to the good on Christopher Plumley. Justin Kay, Alex Bergeron, Crystal King on the wrong side of the equation. But those points are getting updated because they're getting ready to go for race 2 of the night. It's going to be Bergeron that leads us to the green as he looks to add to a couple of victories that he's been able to grab. Tom Grady, Jacob Rafoss, and then Quintin Dalomo, the front 2 rows. It's Killian Dalomo alongside with the defending champ Connor Barry, while first and second in the first race, it's now flipped for them. Jarrett Liebert and Joel Blewett have to carve their way on forward from 7th and 8th. Josh Fox, a couple of spots gained in that first race. He'll try and make some more inroads from 9th alongside Josh Edmondson, while Cody Retzlaff, Nicholas Wellhouse in the Team Rogue Machines will be on row 6. 13th for Christopher Plumley with Connor Parisi, and in 14th, Tyson Miller, Terry Miller in the factory Simsport cars, alongside on row 8 with Keaton Swain back the number 2 machine in 17th spot. Nicholas Dachelet will be in the Legion Speed Sports car on the outside of row 9, while Brandon Proudfoot, Trenton Briley, Justin Kay, and Crystal King make up the rest of the top 22. So, a dramatic first race, and a reminder that if you are interested in this type of racing, well, head on to iRacing.com. New memberships are 40% off, and you can drive this very combo. Pro 4 trucks, 900 horsepower, 4-wheel drive machines around Bark River in official competition. I don't want to get people too excited because it is a public vote, and things may change between now and tomorrow, but Friday night primetime live on RaceBot TV. Looks like we might be covering Pro 4 off-road racing here at Bark River, Josh.
I would throw my hat in the ring to be involved in that one. However, I will be working down in Sunrise, Florida at the FLA Live Arena that day. So unfortunately, I cannot take part. But I know, just more monster truck excuses from me.
Oh.
Alex Bergeron on the pole for this race is going to be a problem for our championship competitors. Bergeron, whenever he gets clean air, takes off. In anything on dirt, you get him out in front, he takes off. Grady, Rafas, Quintin Delolmo, Killian Delolmo back there, they've got to do something about it quickly.
And if we look at that webcam again, you'll see all the accolades that he has been able to build up and accumulate in his iRacing World of Outlaws career. And plenty of victories there, double digits, has already grabbed 3 here. Has run some dirt racing sprint cars in the real world. Bergeron, one of those multi-discipline drivers. Tom Grady alongside as well, though. That's going to be an interesting charge from him. And then at number 16, Jacob Rafos once again in a great spot. And then the championship hopefuls, 6th, 7th, and 8th with some work to do.
And some points to earn. Blewett got to get back by Liebert and Barry with the way the invert works to gain points on them again. Gonna be tough to do, especially mid-pack. Barry seems to thrive there. He seems to thrive on the offense. Liebert and Blewett seem to thrive more on the defense. We're gonna have to get the elbows out to start this race number 2.
Well, in terms of hard chargers, Connor Barry is plus 13 across his career, with Liebert minus 10, with Blewett in the plus 8 region. They're going to have to get the elbows out. Ready to go, though, for the second race at Bark River. On the outside, it's Alex Bergeron that picks up the throttle and gets us racing in the rolling hills of Michigan. Up through turn number 1, and airborne they will all get safely through. Initially, the field will scramble. There's some contact further behind, a couple of cars pirouetting, but safely through the opening corner. Now, a full 180 degrees, a long sweeping left, but single file inside the top 10, with Bergeron leading them towards the jump.
We're already looking a lot different than we did at the start of race number 1, Arjuna. That was a lot more clean on the bottom of the racetrack, I want to say, purely because we only saw a handful of 2 wide through that entire first 2 corners. We saw a 3 wide in race number 1, and a few points. They all keep it cleanly at the front, with Bergeron still leading, but Grady Rafas on the back bumper. This is the battle around Josh Edmondson and Josh Fox, as that's where Jared Liebert ends up losing 2 spots off the start.
Yeah, there's not really been much change inside the top 10, except Josh Fox now behind Edmondson and Liebert behind Blewett. It's been pretty steady since there. Fox, plenty of contact with Christopher Plumley. He'll go almost cattywampus. Plumley on through. And now Retzlaff trying to challenge as well. Up towards the front. Quintin Delolmo's on the offense, trying to get past Jacob Rafos. Look at the shot from up above as they filter in towards turn 2. Going around was Killian Delolmo. Maybe contact with Quintin, excuse me.
He got sent around very quickly. One other truck's going to go around, makes contact with Miller, makes contact with King as well. That was Nicholas Dashley that got turned around through turn 2. But start playing the Jaws music, Arjuna. Here comes Connor Barry for P2.
And the champ, the highest place of the championship hopefuls, doing exactly what he needs to do. He'll have to work past Tom Grady and then Bergeron, but he's got laps to work, even if it is difficult to pass. Liebert's involved in a fight with Edmondson for 7th spot. Exactly what he didn't need to see right now. And continuing to go side by side, Edmondson gets on through. Plumley might get through as well.
They're continuing this fight in the mid-pack, which is not changing a whole lot with those championship contenders, but it's all right behind Jarrett Liebert, who, as they continue to try and catch up to him, and Edmondson did get by Jarrett Liebert. Now he's got Plumley and Fox behind. He's gonna need to try and get out of this traffic. He needs to get out of this chaos zone in the middle of the race, as Connor Barry gets 2nd place away from Grady, and Alex Bergeron's looking in his rearview mirror wondering what he did to deserve what is about to happen.
There's going to potentially be a chance for those top 2 to break away if Grady can be the bottleneck. How aggressive is Rafos going to go? There's Killian going around, and then as he hits the wall, oh, that's almost like a Tony Hawk kind of a thing that you do, you know, off a half pipe or something.
comparing different types of action sports there, pulling the off-road trucks into the skateboarding world. I like the comparison. All right, I do it a lot with monster trucks. I like the other comparison over to some other forms of action sports and extreme sports, but this battle at the front is not going away, especially because we saw Joel Blewett just kind of stretch his legs. He got way out to the front in race number 1. Kind of typical as well for when Connor Barry or Keaton Swain end up leading a race. This is not happening. We've got a very, very close race at the front. Top 6 separated by 2 seconds right now as we look on board with Tom Grady, who's trying to catch up to the top 2 of Barry and Bergeron as they fight through turn 2.
You want to hear something interesting about Tom Grady out of Michigan, the 27-year-old in the factory SimSport truck? I keep making that mistake. How many times do you think he's finished in the top 10? If the answer is more than twice, you're wrong. One previous top 10 finish, and that was 8th. It's not been an easy ride for Grady, despite having some speed. He was part of the initial Legion Speed Sport effort. That was the development team for Factory SimSport, and boy, what a development it's been. He's up there in 3rd and watching as Connor Barry goes to work on Alex Bergeron. Behind, Jarrett Liebert also getting involved in scraps, but now as the champ tries to battle for the win, it's as he extends the margin in the points.
Take a look at those live points right now. 23 points behind is Liebert, but look at Keaton Swain. Joel Blewett is able to get by. Swain has not gone anywhere in the mid-pack, Arjuna. Started 17th. He's only in 14th. Liebert makes a mistake, though. Lost a ton of positions down to 9th.
And he's going to have to try and fight his way back now because 30 points, that's giving Connor Barry a margin with 2 weeks to go that you don't want to give him. He might even feel like second's going to be enough. 2 more points, the difference again between 1st and 2nd spots on track. Josh Edmondson slides down to 13th. That was looking like an interesting scrap in the mid-pack, has ended poorly for him. Josh Fox up the inside of Jacob Rafoss as they head off towards the jump.
It was a flip from Edmondson who ended up just kind of slamming the dirt the wrong way, and he got the front end of that truck way too up in the air and slammed on the right rear, and that ended up throwing him all types of flipping as Cody Retzlaff and Keaton Swain fight. Jacob Rafoss now with a problem. Looks like he'll drop out of the race server completely as Connor Barry on the back bumper of Alex Bergeron. I don't think he needs the win, Arjuna, but he's going to go for it. He wants to get this win. He wants to add more as more contact in the midfield. That's the 17 getting into the side of the 5. This is the battle around Keaton Swain.
Keaton Swain's largest number of podiums, 14 of anyone in the series, has already been matched now by Connor Barry. Cody Retzlaff almost mounted the back of a fellow competitor. He slid wide and now drops behind Keaton Swain, who will very gladfully take a couple more positions after being, like Josh said, unable to make too much headway so far in this race. Bergeron still leads. Barry tries to put the pressure on, but the 2 cars are breaking away from Tom Grady, who continues to be that bottleneck in 3rd. Josh Fox going to be the next to get shoved out wide as Jarrett Liebert says, my championship's a bit more important.
27 points, that gap. He needs to make some of that up. And I say that because I don't want to give Connor Barry a 4-point lead going into the last 2 rounds. You certainly don't want to give him a 27-point lead because that is going to completely change how Jarrett Liebert, Keaton Swain, Joel Blewett all have to race these final 2 rounds. 53 points back for Swain and Blewett. I'm not writing either of them off yet, Arjuna, but I think after Wild Horse Pass, if they don't make points up, we might be writing them out. Might be writing Jarrett Liebert out, to be honest, because Connor Barry has only had 1 misstep in both years of competition so far. That was here at Bark River in the first visit last season.
And he told us in that first round when we had a bit of a chat with him, that was the one thing he wanted to put beside him, was any sort of mistakes. Wanted to make sure he was as consistent as possible. And so, in terms of the points, definitely working in his favor. Cody Retzlaff, Crystal King, the 2 will come to blows. They'll both straighten each other effectively out, and in the fight for 12th position, just costing each other a bit of time. Back up at the front, Bergeron will get, I think, increasingly worried about the fact that Connor Barry's right there, Tom Grady's closing up as well. Last time was 0.2 quicker than the leader, within a second on track. And as Barry tries to slide to the inside with track evolution playing its part, they will make some contact. And Grady, Dalomo getting closer and closer as we dive into the whoop section.
Where's Barry going to go for the move? I'm not going to say does he go for the move, because we know he's going to try it. He's trying it right now. Is there any better spot that he can do it? You saw it right there. Tries to go for the switchback. Now he's going to be on the outside, but not really where you want to be for these long left-handers. He tries to go back to the inside, tries to do the same thing and do not kill Angelamo. He does it to a T, and that's going to work. Barry to the lead.
That is the definition of a bump and run right there from Connor Barry. The champ not content to sit back and wait. He saw Dalomo, he saw Grady closing, and now leading at the mid-mark of lap number 8 with 4 cars squabbling for the lead. Let's not forget that for Tom Grady, for Quintin Dalomo, this is not just podiums they are potentially fighting for. It's potential first race victories.
Side by side between Grady and Dalomo as Kane gets by Retzlaff further on back in the field. There are other championship contenders. Joel Blewett's running in 6th. Jarrett Liebert running in 8th. Keaton Swain is there in 9th, running some solid lap times. And actually, Keaton Swain last time by, I'll go as far as Keaton Swain, Jarrett Liebert, and Jacob Rafas. I'll throw him in 7th, all running faster lap times than Connor Barry at the front. But they're not making headway on Barry at all, with still 55 points left for Swain and Blewett to play with. And Jarrett Liebert 29 points back. Triple fives for the number 1 right now. Beautifully done race so far. Can he keep it up for 2 more laps?
Remember, the most that you can grab in terms of points in a week, in a race event, is 105. And so with 2 rounds to go, we are starting to get to the point where we will start to mathematically eliminate people from the championship mix. It's the Nitro Circus sim racing car that leads. On board with the virtual drivers by TX3 Machine as Quintin Dalomo hunts on the back of Tom Grady. Joel Blewett, by the way, has gotten up into the top 5, getting past Jacob Rafos and Christopher Plumley. I said earlier it's hard to pass at Bark River. These drivers are proving me wrong.
A lot of passing in the mid-pack, and I think that's kind of a given when you have all these trucks running in such close quarters, and they've stayed close together throughout the entirety of race number 1 and 2, and kind of these mid-pack bubbles of trucks. But Connor Barry, fresh air at the front. He pulls away as Quintin Dalomo trying to find any possible way around Tom Grady for a podium, which I believe Arjuna would be his first podium of this season in 2023. No, actually, 3rd, 2nd in a row.
Yeah, for Quintin Dalomo, he has definitely been on a bit of a hot streak. It's just been about staying out of the pit lane and staying on all 4 wheels as much as possible, with the exceptions being the only times that they're in the air. Going to come towards the start of the final lap, and I think Connor Barry looks calm enough. Tom Grady holds a potential first podium, a 2nd top 10 finish in a remarkable 28 starts. There's almost contact between the two as they slide towards the final sector. You've got to say, we talk about Joel Blewett, it being early in the morning. It's the same case for Quintin Dalomo, but someone with a lot more experience of managing this time discrepancy, Josh, given his iRacing Rallycross World Championship days.
Yeah, the time discrepancy a little bit weirder, not exactly as late in the evening for the Europe side of things for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship, but time change nonetheless, as 1.2 seconds at the front for Barry. Quintin Dalomo is still trying to get by Tom Grady. No change in the mid-pack really at all. Blewett's able to get 5th. He passes Jacob Rafos for that spot, but on this white flag lap, Arjuna, Liebert in 7th, Swain in 8th. They did not make up nearly enough points and didn't prevent Connor Barry from walking away with another checkered flag either as he rounds the last few corners.
You will have to say, though, for Keaton Swain, 9 positions gained in this 2nd race. That is the mark of a champion. Whether or not he gets the crown at the end of the season, Keaton Swain consistently proves to us why he is one of the best to do it and why he's always in the mix. Connor Barry, though, sails through the final corner. It's going to be race victory number 4 for Barry in his iRacing Off-Road Championship career, but it might be the one that takes him that one step closer to becoming a 2-time world champion. It's a pump of the fist. It's Barry on top in the rolling hills of Michigan.
You can tell he wanted that one. You can tell he needed that one. This is a tide changing in the championship, and Barry's going to come out of this one, and I think when we talk to him post-race, Arjuna, this is what we are going to hear from him. It's going to be confidence and nothing but going into the last 2 rounds of the gap he's got to the rest of the drivers in the season standings.
Yeah, look at him as well. He's got all the sponsors, not just the physical products, but the stickers as well. Connor Barry knows his crowd, knows the sponsors are watching, and makes sure that with the spotlight on him, he delivers a 4th victory, tying Keaton Swain and Cam Peterson, all now 4 victories apiece, the most winning drivers in series history. Alex Bergeron will add to the podium count. It's a 5th for him, while Tom Grady, it's only his 3rd top 10 if you include the one from earlier tonight, and it's his 1st ever podium. Congratulations, Tom. He'll be sinking that one in for a while. Quintin Del Olmo and then Joel Blewett through the rest of the top 5, with Jacob Foss, Jarrett Liebert, then Keaton Swain, who will take all the plaudits, I think, for the recovery, although he'll be ultra frustrated with having to make that drive back up through the field. It's Plumley and Fox that make up the rest of the top 10, while 11th goes to the 2nd of the Del Olmos, Killian dropping down, unfortunately, after going sideways, and then Tony Hawking off the wall. Crystal King 12th, Cody Retzlaff 13th, Brandon Proudfoot, Terry Miller, the rest of the top 15. Justin Kay, Connor Parisi, and then Nicholas Dashalay. A 17th and 18th split by less than 1/10 of a second in a bit of a drag race to the line. Tyson Miller and then Nicholas Wellhouse complete your top 20, with Edmondson and Briley 1 lap down. Well, Josh is continuing to maintain that short course is potentially the most exciting racing that you can watch, the most exciting racing that you can have. Here's a look at the points where Connor Barry's lead does start to grow. 555 points now to the defending champ's name. He is 27 clear of Jarrett Liebert, and then 53 clear of Keaton Swain and Joel Blewett. It's a big swing in the championship, and so let's go straight down to Connor Barry in that number 1 and talk a little bit about the events of today. Connor, let's start with the first race. You and Keaton side by side on the entry into turn 4. What did you feel? What did you see from your perspective?
Yeah, so I got below him in the turn before, then going into the S turn, my front was in front, and I was still going to actually going to let him back by, because obviously that's a spot where it's not good. So it looks like so I was in front, and Swain, he turned still, and then he turned into the side of me, and then he wrecked, I guess. So it was definitely bad to see, but there was, for sure, it was not intentional. It was just something where I really don't know. I mean, I don't think I was in the wrong, as I was in front of him. My truck was actually in front. So, I mean, when there's a truck there, you can't turn into them.
Not much you could do, I think, in that situation. Looked a bit weird from our perspective as well. Put that aside, though, championship now, bit of a swing, not just with Keaton's issues, but the fact that you were able to grab the win, to be able to get onto the podium in the first race as well. 27 now clear with 2 races to go. How are you feeling in that championship fight? Of course, we've still got 2 very different tracks left to come. I think Connor maybe muted his microphone there for a second. We seem to have lost his audio. We'll see if we can dial back up with Connor in a couple of moments' time. Instead, though, we'll see if Joel Blewett can catch up with Joshua Lee.
Well, Joel, another solid night from you, but at the same time, that race number 1 was much better than that race number 2. Let's focus on that first race from the jump. You qualify on the pole, you get out in that clean air, and you get the win. How confidence inspiring was that first race, and was that a statement from you that you're here to play for the championship?
It was a solid race. I only did about 5 laps practice on that race setup because I spent all my time working on the Q set. So it was we might have looked good on the broadcast, but in the car it was a struggle bus. It was it wasn't the greatest setup I've ever built, but we were able to get a good start after a decent Q lap and get a little bit of a lead and try and focus as best as I could.
Was that clean air and that defense? You mentioned the kind of lack of practice and that you were kind of struggling in the truck. Did that come out more in race number 2 because you didn't have that clean air and you kind of had to be more offensive than defensive trying to use the truck?
I'm not too sure. It's a completely different style of driving when you're around other trucks. So in the clean air, it's more like running hot laps. When you're in the clean air, you're focusing a lot more on the track itself, but when you're around other trucks, you're focusing more on them, which I feel like it's, at least for me, it's easier to gauge, like just to jump straight into it, how to drive around other trucks compared to run like fast hot laps and consistent.
Well, looking forward, Wild Horse Pass and Crandon left. You're 55 points now back from the lead. What can you do to get that championship? And is it out of reach for you, or are you still going to try and shoot for it with 4 points paying rounds left?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I do think it's out of reach. I think 50 points is way too much to gain back, unless something unfortunate happens to Connor and Jarrett, like they get taken out in a race or two. But I think I'm tied for 3rd now after that race because Keaton had some issues, so I'm going to try and hold on to 3rd best I can. But for my rookie season, I think it's been really solid. I'm quite happy with how it's been.
We can agree up here in the booth with a very solid season. Congratulations on your race win tonight, and we look forward for 4 more rounds with you at Wild Horse Pass and Crandon to come. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Joel Blewett for the race number 1 winner, and honestly, one of the MVPs of the night, maybe my driver of the day, Tom Grady, saying my review, Arjuna.
Yeah, Tom, I mean, it's been a difficult, I guess, championship series. You've always had that speed, not always been able to convert it into top 10s. 3rd top 10, 1st podium. How are you feeling right now?
Oh my God, it's been a rough first 5 weeks. The qualifying speed hasn't exactly been there. The racecraft throughout the race hasn't totally been there, and I took this last week and just grinded as hard as I could and just said, qualifying is what's going to make or break it this week for me. And I think my 2nd best qualifying this season, and first race finally stayed out of the first lap chaos and turn into a front row start for race 2.
I think I have your championship finish of 16th last year, of course. Had to go through that road to the World Championship. You're part of Legion Speed Sports, which is the development arm of Factory Sim Sport. You've got a great group of drivers to work with. What was the off-season like as you built yourself back up through that qualifying series?
Yeah. Last season, after the 8 weeks of racing for the World Championship, everyone was cooked. We were kind of worn out and done, and our team was like, now is the time to get ready for next year. So it was nonstop testing and tuning, racing around each other, practicing what moves can be made. And then, once qualifying came around, we were ready. We had the speed. And then from there, it was just adjusting to the different dirt updates and things like that. And at that time, just fine tuning. All the work was done. So we were ready to go for week 1 this year.
Well, congratulations, Tom. We've seen plenty of speed from you this season, converted into a podium, and now 2 weeks to go. Can't wait to see how you push on from here.
Yeah, it's a good week, and I can't thank those that support me enough. Raceline Wheels keeping me going, Ultra Ego Running, and then also all my teammates over at Factory Sim Sport and Legion Speed Sports. We're working together, working hard, and we got 2 more weeks to go to finish off strong. So thank you, guys.
Always great to talk with drivers, not just on the top step of the podium, but to hear a bit more about those fighting behind as well. 2 weeks to go, though. Next up, we make our way to a very different sort of a track. This track has 12 corners. Next week, we go to a track with just 4. It's on the shorter side as we make our way, Josh, to the Wild Horse Motorsports Park.
It's only 4 corners. It is the definition of short in short course, but it's tough. very tough to get right. Each corner is completely different. You've got the hairpins that we see at Wild West. You've got the sweeping corners like we see at Bark River. You've got the whoop section. You've got the jump at the finish line. This race, Gecko and all, is going to be a championship decider. I don't think anybody in second, third, or fourth right now, Swain, Blewett, Liebert, they're not out of the conversation yet. But if Barry is typical Connor Barry going into Wild Horse Pass, it might be too little too late.
And of course, then that all bleeds into the final round as we get set for the Land Rush Star at Crandon. Boy, is that going to be exciting. For now, though, it's time to say goodbye. And boy, what a round we've had tonight. A championship-defining round of the 2023 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. On behalf of the entire team behind the scenes, for Joshua Lee alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, Hugo Luis, Camilla Moraes, and Juliana Cesar behind the scenes producing all the action. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week, 2 weeks away from crowning a champ.